Hello, South High School parents. This video is being provided for you just to get a little bit of information about what your juniors will be doing next week, Tuesday and Wednesday, as it relates to the ACT plus writing and ACT work keys. We have been working with your students already this week to be doing the pre-registration information with their ACT Scantrons and have been helping prepare them for what this test means. So the reason why we do ACT and ACT work keys is kind of two reasons. One, it's required by the state that we test all students, juniors, with the ACT plus writing and also the ACT work keys. And I'll talk more about what each of these tests are. Also, we know that the ACT plus writing is what is used for students when gaining access to colleges and universities. And the ACT work keys is a new test which is mostly used by employers for promotional opportunities within their company. On Tuesday, and Wednesday, we will only have juniors in the building. Students are expected to be here at regular school time, 7:40, 7:45, and that they can get into their classrooms because we will begin reading directions for the test and starting the testing at 8 o'clock. Students will work through various tests and will be done with testing on Tuesday at 12:25, 12:30, depending on how the timing of the exam goes for them in their individual room. And then Wednesday, it will be again juniors only, and testing will go from 8 o'clock to 11:15. So again, students need to be here at 7:40, 7:45, check into their rooms, and we'll begin reading the directions at 8 o'clock to complete all of that testing. The ACT plus writing, as I had mentioned before, is the entrance exam used for most colleges and universities. Locally, it will be used for UW-Sheboygan, Lakeland College, and LTC will even take ACT scores for accepting applicants into their university. There's 5 tests. There's one English, one in math, one in reading, one in science, and then there's a 40-minute writing test. This is a great opportunity, I think, as a service to students and families, in that typically and in years past, the ACT was always at the cost and responsibility of the family. So by doing it through the school as part of public education, you're saving yourself just about over $55 in terms of getting that test taken. And we're able to do it here with the support of the schools to help ensure that all students are able to take it. So in that essence, I think it's a good thing that we do it here. And again, this is specific to entrance exams for colleges. The ACT Work Keys test is a little bit different. There's 3 45-minute tests, one in reading, one for math, and one for locating information. And the tests are a little bit different in that they are more related to job skills assessments and are used by employers to help select, hire, train, develop, and retain high-performing employees. So the tests are the measure foundational and soft skills and offers specialized assessments to target institutional needs. So they may be able to screen out within their employee base what types of employees would best fit other opportunities they have within their company. The way the work keys works is you'll get a score between 3 and 7 for each of those 3 areas that are tested. And they are directly related to particular career pathways which employers use when looking at how students relate or employees relate to others who hold that similar job. So let's look at a couple examples. This is an example of a registered nurse. And when students get their scores back, they can be able to apply these scores to see where they may or may not be qualified for a particular career of interest. So you can see here that the minimum skill level for someone who's interested in being a nurse for the 3 ones that we're testing, which are the top, is a 4. But you can see on the left column that the median skill level, so the middle group of people who are nurses, are typically 5 for applied math, 5 for reading for information, and a 4 for locating information. So there is a minimum score, but the likelihood of getting employed in this area based on the work keys, you're really going to want to make sure you're hitting that median skill level of a 5, 5, or a 4, and maybe even gravitating towards that maximum skill level, which you see on the right with a 5, 6, or a 6. Another example would be for civil engineering. Students who might have an interest in engineering, and this would be kind of applied across the board, you can see that it's pretty much straight across the board that if this is a skill area or a career area that you're looking at getting into, you're looking at needing that 7 in the applied mathematics, a 6 in reading for information, and a 6 for locating information. So just a couple examples of how these scores are used and how they relate to two specific career areas, but just keeping that in mind that students will have these available to them upon graduation to provide to employers, very similar to being able to provide your ACT to a college. So just so you're aware of how the testing day expectations go, students are expected to bring a number 2 pencil. We will provide them, of course, but please let your students know that mechanical pencils will not be allowed to be used. Calculators are allowed on the math test for both ACT and WorkKeys, and just note that the TI-89 is not allowed. Most of the calculators your students bring to school are acceptable, but just to make sure that they're checking to make sure that theirs is, but through the ACT.org website. A couple notes: make sure your kids are drinking lots of water, are well fed. During test day, you are not allowed to eat and or drink during testing time. The only thing kids can have in the testing room at the time of testing is a pencils and a calculator. Just a reminder that students are expected to stay at school for the duration of all of the testing, and that during testing they are not to access their cell phones for any reason. So if you have a student who's a little trigger happy when it comes to texting or Facebook or Instagram, you might want to ask them just to leave their phone at home. But if they are caught with it in their possession at school, even if it's powered off or turned off, that their test scores will be voided, and there's nothing that we can do about that with ACT. So please talk with your son or daughter about the importance of following this rule and keeping their cell phones at home, in their car, in their locker, or actually handing it over to the teacher in their testing room. So just in closing, please help your student get plenty of rest. Beg them to go to bed early. Ensure they're eating a breakfast. We will have breakfast available before school. Students will need to make sure that if they do want to do the school breakfast, that they'll need to get it and have it consumed, if you will, before 7:40, 7:45 when they're checking into rooms. And of course, to be drinking lots of water, not just the day before, but definitely start drinking and getting hydrated. We know that when you are hydrated, that you are ensuring optimal brain functioning. And there are some various things that students can do online. One of the examples is online. There's a program called Method Test Prep, but just some last minute things that kids should be aware of when taking the ACT, not necessarily about content, but more or less about test taking strategies. And of course, the most important is to have a positive attitude about testing and not being afraid to guess. You are not marked down for having incorrect responses on the ACT. You are only marked down for the ones you get right. So you want to get as many of them as you get right. So leaving any bubbles unfilled is not to your advantage. So we encourage kids to make sure that they've answered all of the questions, even if they don't know, just to go ahead and fill them all in at the end. So please encourage students and work over that one important skill right there alone. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to give me a call at 459-3639. Have a great day.